Good morning, my name is Bando, and this is Brexit Bando, and I've got to apologise for my absence. I have been a little under the weather, and also my airbrush broke a while back. It is now fixed, so hopefully I shall return to making slightly more regular videos and not just whoring myself out on the YouTube Shorts. And today I'd just like to make a really quick video on 5 items that have helped me progress my hobby. 5 items that I think any beginner can pick up very cheap. These aren't, £150 Japanese plastic cutters or something that are going to revolutionise your life. These are 5 things you can buy off Amazon right now. I don't think the most expensive one here costs more than about 15 quid. And they are things you probably wouldn't think would be, beneficial to the hobby. But they are. And I use all of these. And I will continue to use all of these for varying reasons. Because a lot of these are things that people used back in the day, or are used in other modelling spheres that will also transfer really well over to us in the wargaming, Warhammer sphere. The first one is one of the most versatile and useful ones out there for many different hobbies. And it is nitrile gloves. Now I say nitrile rather than rubber gloves. Some people are allergic to rubber, some people are allergic to latex. So nitrile are generally the best ones to go for. There's the smallest chance you're going to have a nasty reaction to them. I use these by painting, I use them for airbrushing, I use them for my 3D printing. And there are some very good reasons I use them for painting. And that is that the natural oils that appear that are present in human skin are slightly acidic, and they will wear paint off of models as you work. They will leave grease on a model as you work, which will stop paint adhering properly. So when you've built your model and you've washed it before you've primed it, putting a pair of these gloves on to handle it from that point on, I didn't think it was going to be a real thing. I saw this on different websites and I was like, nah, it's just a gimmick. People just don't want to get paint on their hands. And then I gave it a go and I started to notice that my models I wasn't wearing paint off my models when I was working them, because I touch my models a lot. And I was pleasantly surprised. It did have a noticeable difference. Another thing, I left less fingerprints in my models, which for a couple of years ago was actually a big problem I had with some of the work I was doing. I'm turning them around, I'm working them, and suddenly I noticed, I've left a fingerprint across somewhere. And it wasn't a huge deal, I fix it, but it was just a pain in my backside. More to do with how I work. So yeah, nitrile gloves, you can pick them up in like boxes of 100 for about a £5, £10, depending, where you get them from. And they're reusable. As long as you're not ripping them, as long as they're not getting dried out or anything, a single pair can last you a week, if you're careful, if not longer. So yeah, I think gloves, if you're going to add one thing, picking up a box of these gloves, even if you're priming your models, it will save you. If you've ever got spray paint in your hands, it's such an uncomfortable feeling. The second one is sanding sticks. Also known as emery boards, and these can be proper modelling ones, or you can even get them from the supermarket, any girl's accessory shop. They'll have these nail file sanding sticks, and what you want to do is you want to get them in a range of different grits, basically, but the one you're looking for is a medium to sort of super fine, and the super fine ones are great. Because once you have clipped your model off the sprue and you've trimmed up the flash and everything, you usually have these little burrs where the gate points sat on the mould. And you can use these to file that down smooth, but you're still going to be able to see it. But when you get to the super fine one, and you can just rub in a circular motion, you basically polish the plastic back up to a mirror sheen, which is how it is when you've got it from the rest of the model. Brilliant tool for getting rid of large burrs on flat areas. Again, just less damage. You're not using a metal file, you're not using the edge of a knife or any other dodgy scraping tool. They are brilliant for removing details. Say you've got a marine with a set of legs in a pose you want, but he has this great big symbol, blood angel symbol or something on his shin, and you don't want that because you're not making a blood angel. You can use these. You start with a high grit one, you sand it down, go to the medium one to smooth it around again, and then polish it back up with the super fine ones. Brilliant piece of equipment, really useful. If you are using them on resin, make sure you wear a respirator. Number 3, filler or grout. This stuff is brilliant, not for filling holes in models, but as a cheap way of doing your bases. If you're building terrain or anything like the large bases on things like a dune crawler or a knight, using this helps you build up a dirt effect, a ground effect, a lot easier than just putting down some PVA glue and sprinkling some sand on there. There's less chance of it coming off because you are making it's drying hard and bonding to the plastic. You can still add bits to it. You can use tools to sort of change the shape. You can use it to, I want to make the waves in like sand dunes. You can do that. It's very versatile. I use it on a lot of my larger models, and you can do it in several layers. So you do one layer, then you do another layer, and you kind of sculpt with it. I actually I did a base for a tank for a display piece that was a present for someone. If I've still got photos for it, I'll see if I can throw one in there. But it's a brilliant way of adding texture and depth to bases beyond just adding sand. You can add sand on top of it afterwards for the extra details, but when you're sort of building up the layers of dirt, coupling this with cork tiles or anything like that is a brilliant way of adding an extra texture, an extra sort of layer, which is all these sorts of things that you want to do when you're working on sort of larger bases for models, because sand looks like sand at any sort of distance. It's one of the big problems with sort of the way we base models. So next up is isopropyl or isopropyl alcohol, and this is basically a denatured alcohol. It is 99% proof, and it's great for several things. I use it for 3D printing, for cleaning my prints, but that's not really what I'm talking about here. But what you can do is you can water it down, and you can use it to save an old brush. If you've got an old brush that you use for dry brushing, and it's just it's caked in there, you can add a couple of drops of this to some water, and you can then use it to get the acrylic paint out, because this stuff just melts acrylic paint. Don't use it on your best brushes, you will destroy them. Use it on cheap brushes. If you spill some paint, dabbing a little bit onto a piece of tissue paper, and you can rub it over the surface. It's called rubbing alcohol for a reason. But the last reason, and the big one, is you can strip models with this. And you can strip metal, resin and plastic models quickly. Literally, pot, dunk, toothbrush. And you don't have to leave it to soak, you just start scrubbing, and you dunk it in again and keep scrubbing. It will start stripping paint in seconds. So this is not one you want to leave models in for hours and hours and hours, because it'll melt them. But literally dunk and go, and just keep going. I have stripped tanks with this. I have stripped models with this. I've stripped resin, metal. Metal you can just leave in there all day, it'll be fine. But this has worked faster and better than any other method of stripping. So if you're getting really frustrated that your painting's not good, You know, you keep buying models, you keep painting them badly because you're learning, and you're about to give up. Don't. Go and spend £15-20 on some isopropyl alcohol and strip the models. It'll break down all the super glue as well, so they'll come apart into different parts. They'll need cleaning up again, but once you've done that, wash them off with some warm soapy water, let them dry, and you're basically good to go again. There's no point this hobby should be as expensive as it is, and we can do everything we can to kind of make it cheaper. Do be aware that it is highly flammable, so don't do it while smoking. Try and do it in a ventilated area. Don't put it into a ultrasonic cleaner. Not as it is. It can be dangerous. Certain ultrasonic cleaners get very hot, and the flash point for isopropyl is relatively low. Some people say it's not a threat. Some people are not taking safety measures, which is ironic coming from me, who played with an airbrush for 5 years without a respirator. The last item on this list of the main 5 is deionized water. Now, deionized water is just water that has not come out of a tap. Don't drink it, it's actually quite bad for you. It's used for like batteries, radiator in your car, that sort of thing. But it is also really good for painting. If you're making washes, if you're making, if you're thinning down paints, if you are making your own airbrush cleaner, because you can mix it with isopropyl at sort of a, 4-to-1 ratio-ish, and run that through your airbrush to keep it clean. You can run it neat through ISO neat through your airbrush as well to clean it. You just will kill it a lot quicker. When I'm thinning in my airbrush, I always use deionized water because it doesn't have the stuff that's in tap water. I live in the south of England. Our water is like 90% chalk. Honestly, I went to a restaurant yesterday for brunch. I asked for a glass of tap water. What was put on the table looked like a glass of milk. You don't want that if you're mixing it with paint, especially if it's stuff you're going to put into a bottle and keep, because it will go nasty fast. Deionized water will not. And you can get a bottle that is like 5 litres for about £1 a litre, if that. You can find it very, very cheap if you just look. And it's a good way of saving things in the long run. Yeah, it's a good way of cleaning things. You don't have to wash your brushes out in it. It's not like that. That you can just use tap water. But maybe at the end of your painting session, wash the brushes out with a little bit of soap and deionized water. Might be a good idea. But if you're making things like washes, and with the changes to things like Agrax Earthshade that are coming out, that may be something you might want to look into, because the new shades are not the same as the old ones. So the last one is a bonus, and this is not an item you could pick up, really, but it's something you should pick up naturally, and it's bottle tops, just the tops off plastic, Coke bottles, water bottles, whatever. I ask my mum to keep them. They drink a lot of tonic water and stuff at my parents' house. So I asked them just to keep the bottle tops. And what I use them for is I just put a little dab of super glue on the bottom, and I stick the model to it. Or bottom of their feet, sorry. And then I can hold that while I'm painting them. Which means I'm less likely to touch the model at all. And when I'm finished, I can just squeeze it, and a little bit of bending, and the model usually pops off. So yeah, that was 5+1 on some useful, cheap hobby items I found have made my life a lot easier and are really accessible for beginners. Thank you for all the comments, guys. Thank you for all the subscribers. We're at 250 plus subscribers now, which is absolutely mad. I really appreciate all of you guys. If you're not subscribed, feel free to click that subscribe button. You will not get inundated with notifications as I appear to upload once a month. But yeah, I really appreciate everyone. I will try to upload as much as possible. Thank you very much. Have a good day.